Lord bless us, the English team need it. He's Dr. Richard Gordon, doctor in the house, author. He'll be doing a spot of trout fishing. Join us next week on Hooked International. Welcome to Hooked International in Denmark. We've come to the town of Viborg, one of those towns trying to attract free-spending anglers away from the bright lights of downtown Silkeborg. I have to tell you that the duty-frees are just about exhausted now, and nerves are getting just a little frayed and tempers are on edge. Desperation stalks the English camp, and tension is a steel claw at the throats of the English contingent, because although 6 English rods have competed, none has so far qualified for a place in our final against the best of the continental teams. 3 Irish anglers have competed, and indeed all 3 have qualified. 2 of the biggest guns in British angling have been trundled out to try and stop that Irish advance, which is led today by a 20-year-old student, John Montgomery. Can this youngster whip the cream of English angling? Here's a thoroughly rattled Pete Thompson. Well, Pete, trying times for English angling?
Very trying, Derek. Very, very trying. But I think we'll come out on top today.
How come?
We've got 2 very, very good English anglers. I'm not taking anything away from John Montgomery. John's a very, very good angler, but we've got 2 top English anglers, and I think that we're going to see one of those 2 go through to the final.
Indeed, 2 of my angling heroes, Ian Heaps and Sid Meads.
What can you say about a former world champion and a man who's been at the top for many, many years, Sid Meads? 2 good anglers.
That combined side against the Dutch.
Yeah, very good Dutch side, including, of course, Jan van Schendel, who was in our final last year and who's fished with English anglers for the last 12 months and, of course, has improved.
All right, but joking aside, there is a real edge today.
We saw them at breakfast this morning, didn't we? John Montgomery, Ian Heaps and Sid Meads, and they were all right at the top.
Uptight.
Just
Uptight.
a little, just a little.
So it's refreshing that at least one person on this programme doesn't give a hoot whether or not he catches a fish. And that's our celebrity guest today, trout angler, author Dr. Richard Gordon. We'll be meeting him later after we've met our anglers.
Come on, we'll go and have a look.
For the Dutch side, Cor Roost.
46-year-old tackle shop dealer from Hoog Mede in Holland, who's a very, very good angler and in fact has won a big classic in Holland this year. He's also got through on the final trials for the Dutch World Championships and he'll be fishing in France for Holland this year. 5th in the World Championships in Luxembourg in '77. I think that's a pedigree that'll stand him in good stead today, Derek.
Now, the one Irishman in today's cup, John Montgomery.
Business studies student, Derek.
Yes, his home's in East Belfast. Angling in East Belfast. Produced a lot of good rods, including, in fact, Jimmy Douglas.
That's right, who got through on our first heat.
That's right.
So John's following that tradition. And obviously he's working his way up towards the world squad for Ireland. He's already fished at home international level. He's now hoping to get into that world championship squad.
Yes, and I think it did him a lot of good fishing against the top internationals in our competition last year.
Without any doubt, without any doubt. He got through to the final. He knows now that he can do it.
Whenever you were looking at young Ian Moulton last week, I asked you if Ian Moulton was world championship material, a young man, a rising star. Now, would you make the same assessment of John Montgomery?
Without doubt.
Jan van Schendel now from the Dutch team.
29-year-old fishing tackle wholesaler from Wagenburg. A top-class rod without any doubt, not only in Holland, but in the world. He fishes regularly over in England, also goes over to Northern Ireland for about 3 months of the year during the English close season when all the top rods from England are over in Northern Ireland, and does particularly well there.
Yes, and we saw him in our final last year in Hooked International.
Well, let's see if we can see him in the final again this year.
Now, one of the elder statesmen of course angling, and indeed one of its most respected figures, Sid Meads.
Sid Meads, the bookmaker from Wisbeach in Cambridgeshire. And if I was going to lose money to a bookmaker, Derek, this is a gentleman I wouldn't mind losing it to.
Yes, one of the best liked anglers on any side. And the man known as the Bream King.
The Bream King on the swing tip method, which we've seen over the past 2 or 3 weeks being copied by not only anglers from England, but anglers from the continent as well. And if you watch how Sid's fishing, and we no doubt will do later on in the programme, he's got a rod rest out there, but he's not using it. He's just holding the rod and watching the swing tip rise away from the water.
And isn't it interesting that for so long the swing tip was regarded as old-fashioned and out of date, and Sid Meads kept it alive, and now all these relatively young anglers are now copying his methods.
Because they saw him do it on Hooked 85.
Core Arts now from Holland into a fish.
36-year-old mechanic from Breeda, catching bream using the quiver tip. A method which he likes, actually. A lot of the Continentals would normally go for the pole method, but Core likes the English-style rod and line, and in actual fact won the 1984 Belgian Rod and Line Championships, and has been a member of the Dutch side in the World Championships.
Beaten out of a place in our final last year by teammate Jan van Schandel.
So he's not only out to get into the final this year, but also beat Jan as well.
Now one of course angling's great showmen, and a very distinguished angler indeed, Ian Heaps.
The man with the golden grin, who now lives down in Northants, originates from Stockport in the northwest, did all his homework and hard work up there, and has since travelled the world and of course won the World Championships in Poland. A member of the England side who won the World Championships in Italy last year, so a top-class angler who now travels the world as a tattle advisor and coaching youngsters.
And I've been told by a Danish journalist that the peg that Ian Heaps has drawn is a very, very good one.
Well, he's now got to prove it, hasn't he? He's got to prove it.
Oh no, John, you're taking a bad look of it now, John. Oh no, let me know, John, let me know. Why should you pack it up? Them fish take it heavy, you know. Take it up, Dave. Hey, go ahead. How's the fishing?
Not so well.
Got a few, have you?
Yeah, a few bream, a few roach.
That's not so bad. They'll come eventually. Stay at it. Good luck.
Jan, you're doing well off this peg. The fish were there straight away as soon as you started this morning.
Yes, Pete, it's unbelievable how many fish there's in my peg. As soon as it hits the bottom, I've got one on nearly all the time. Look at this.
There's another one.
There's another one coming on. It's fantastic.
They're not actually playing with it either, are they?
No, they just take it properly. It's amazing.
What lengths would you go to get to a match?
Well, I think the farthest I go is Ireland, normally. Fish a lot in Ireland and England. That's the farthest I go up to now. But if there would be any interesting matches further out, I would go there as well. I enjoy fishing everywhere because it's, well, you find different methods nearly everywhere you go, and that's what I like about fishing. I love Ireland, to be honest with you. Since I've been there, well, I just always will go back there. I love the country.
You always seem to be around where the big matches with big money are concerned.
Well, yes, but you don't do it for the money because it costs you fortunes as well. The thing is, when there's more money involved, all the top anglers are there, and I like to compete against them, you see. And especially they're organised these big matches, and interesting fishing venues.
Comes a time in the life of the venerable angler when the urge to write a book becomes absolutely irresistible. He fills the pages with tales of great fish taken with great craft, by himself, of course, and the bookshelves are full of them. It comes as a surprise, therefore, to come across a volume